And good old Adler, chapter 7. You remember in the theories class, we started with Freud and Adler. And, remember Adler broke off from Freud because I think he took a dislike to his psychoanalytic sexual theory. And so now we're going to talk about this application in the group. So the Adlerian view of the person is a socio-teleological view. It provides a fantastic framework for group therapy. The social determinants of behavior rather than biological. So we're looking at the social aspect. Adler wanted to make sure we didn't forget that part. Also, Adler has goal-directed rather than oriented in the past. Behavior is purposeful. He's looking more toward the behavior going toward the future and the present. That certain life goals guide our behavior. Those certain goals that we have in our life that guide our behavior. The search for significance. Remember, he had rickets and they thought he was going to die, and he had all the siblings. And so here we are, we have this search for significance to overcome that feeling of inferiority. These feelings can motivate us to strive toward mastery, superiority, power, and ultimately perfection. Adler says every action has a purpose and that we are always in the process of becoming. Some of the Adlerian concepts are holism, phenomenology, creativity and choice, community feeling, social interest, inferiority, superiority, role of family, and style of life. So let's go over each one of those really quickly. So holism is based off the whole view of a person, understanding the whole person in societal, cultural, and familial influences. It's seen as an integral part of the social system. Teleology is humans live by goals and their purpose-driven behavior. Phenomenology is subjective. Objective reality is less important than how we see the world subjectively. This is different, and group others may validate or disagree with your subjective view. Creativity and choice, socio-teleological. We are self-determining. We have the capacity to influence and create events. We express ourselves in diverse ways based on our experience. Still don't believe you can be whatever you want to be? Base assumptions that we are creative and we are self-determining. The community and social interests. We remember this from the German word that we learned, and remember this from the fall. Being connected. Everything's connected. Humanity is connected. We all believe community is innate. We need it. Social interest is a measure of our mental health. And we do know that's true. Adler was right about a lot of these things, right? These concepts are interesting that they came about so early on. But they hold true when based on research. Very, very important. Superiority and inferiority. We touched on this already, but feelings of inferiority help us master our environment. We strive for superiority from a minus position to a plus, not a negative. The role of family plays an important part in our development of our personality, meaning your assignment, your role, your position is important in Adlerian concepts. And your style of life, your story, what makes you you, helps determine your private logic. What is behind the story that is the logic for the way that you make meaning in your story. Roles and functions of a group leader if you are Adlerian. Of course, you're going to promote more a really egalitarian relationship. You're going to have self-confidence, but you're going to be a risk taker. You're going to be humorous and caring, willingness to model, have a collaborative spirit, encourage your group members, believe in the power of groups, and be non-judgmental. Have a strong sense of identity. Have soft confrontation, almost in the form of inquiry. You value psychoeducation. Psychoeducation first. Adler was ahead of his time. Psychoed is so important. I use it all the time. People who understand the way their brain works in encoding trauma are empowered and don't feel crazy. Psychological evaluation, the lifestyle assessment, that's in your workbook. Use it. There are great tools in there for when you actually have to lead group, so you're not lost and stumbling when you're leading your group in class. Adlerian group therapists make use of several assessment techniques, specifically the lifestyle evaluation. Oh my gosh, I'm not calling it lifestyle assessment, sorry. The family constellation, early recollections, you remember that? Dreams, artwork, all provide clues to life goals and lifestyle. As a group leader, your task is to integrate and summarize themes from that lifestyle investigation and interpret how those mistaken notions are influencing your group members. You encourage your group to be actively involved. There's a wide range of techniques, person to person, and interpretation and insight are a part of it, but it's not the core part. As faithful and hopeful, and there's a glossary of terms that I think you should know. You should know these. It's a good review. Go ahead and make sure you know the terms for each theory. It's going to be really helpful for you when you take your CPCE. Even though you think you might not remember it, you can go ahead and get that encoded in your brain. Here are the stages of the group. They're just like theoretical application. Stage 1, you establish and maintain cohesive relationships with members. You initiate psychological evaluation, communicate to the individual an understanding of insight, and seek new alternatives and make new cognitive and behavioral choices, reorienting them to that. So how do you actually do that in group? Here we go. Stage 1, and I give you everything you need to know how to start in stage 1 of group. Egalitarian often begins with having members split into dyads and interview each other. I use that all the time when I was in therapy as a therapist at counseling services. I would split them into dyads to build rapport. Members disclose birth order and experience with that. Early memories. Think about the depth if you do that. That would be a fantastic technique to use for your group. Your earliest memory. Tell us the first 2 early memories. What could we deduce from that? Dyads return. They introduce the partner. That establishes that social interest. We all have a mutually agreed upon goals as a group, and one of the first exercise in group is group agreements. Loving that term. I clearly didn't make this PowerPoint now, but I love the term then and I love it now. Stage 2. Understanding the style of life, seeing how it's affecting their current functioning. You emphasize the individual in their social cultural context. How do they function at work? How do they function in social situations? How do they feel about themselves? Often using the question. It's used to address inquiries of social history. What would your life be like if you were well? How would your life be different if you did not have these problems? What would you change in your life if you could take a pill that would make you completely well? Answers indicate the purpose and direction of symptoms. Anxiety serves a purpose to justify behavior or the fear of failure. Please reference your workbook. The reason I wanted to make this a requirement is because it actually helps you with the application process of group counseling. It gives you the questions and the process for each theory. I find it much more helpful than just the text. You're using then objective techniques, the family constellation. These are activities you're going to do in group. Early recollections, dreams, artwork. Never, ever give up on the artwork. There's an example of Bill's private logic. Read the case of Bill, for me, on page 172 in your text. Early recollections are metaphors. How do you translate that into group? You can integrate and interpret mistaken notions like Bill and look for themes. So do that for me. Go to 172. Go ahead and read that. And pause me for a second. Then you go to stage 3, where you have awareness and insight. Meaningful awareness occurs, but it's not enough. You have to have action. Because what is awareness without action? You start redirecting mistaken ideas and goals in the group. And that caring and encouragement and feedback from the group helps you and serves as a microcosm to encourage you to go out into the world and do that. Stage 4, that's the action page. Leaders and members work together to challenge erroneous beliefs. You're putting that insight into action. Go try it out. Group members learn to catch themselves when they identify old behavior patterns. Back to Bill on page 176. Take a look at him. What do you think?